In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the topic of accessibility, and I'm going to show you how to turn on VoiceOver and get you started navigating your phone using VoiceOver because it's quite the shock. Your phone will behave completely different, and I recommend you get practice with that before moving on so you can appreciate how VoiceOver users use their phone. Okay, so let's talk about this topic of accessibility. It's a huge topic. I'm also going to link to the human interface guidelines section in the description. I'll also link to some WWDC sessions that are specific to accessibility in SwiftUI. Highly recommend watching those as well. Now, accessibility is a very deep topic. There's tons of stuff. Like, look at this graphic, right? The VoiceOver stuff that we're going to touch on. You can see that, like button shapes, larger text, Siri, gestures, zoom, bold text, color contrast, color blindness type stuff, reduced transparency, reduce motion, so much stuff to make your app 100% accessible. So of course, we can't cover all of this in the course. In fact, I'm thinking about doing a completely separate accessibility course where I do dive into all of this stuff. We are going to touch on two main topics on VoiceOver, where the screen reads out, what you're doing for people with vision impairment, and also dynamic type for large font size and even smaller font size. Now, I want to go back to how deep this topic is and some of the things you'll see on Twitter about people saying how accessibility is a necessity, accessibility is a must, you shouldn't ship without accessibility, and I've even said those things. And yes, that is true. I am not saying that is wrong. However, I do want to point out the reality. If you're an indie dev or you're at a small startup where you have 6 to 8 months of runway, you're trying to ship. Yes, this is important, but again, remember those limited developer resources. And I don't get me wrong, I am not saying put this off to the side. I'm saying making your app accessible is something you can strive for over time. Yes, there's a lot of easy, low-hanging fruit that you should do right away before you ship. Absolutely. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't want the impression that you may see on Twitter to think that you have to have all this accessibility stuff covered before you ship. Because if you think that way, and again, you're an indie dev, small startup, you're never going to ship. So yes, focus on the big picture, low-hanging fruit stuff, and then work on improving your accessibility over time. Remember, software is never finished, right? You don't have to have everything done in your initial MVP or your 1.0. And that low-hanging fruit accessibility stuff, right, the big major stuff, is what we're going to talk about when we review DubDubGrub. As you'll see, it's not a lot of extra effort to, again, get the basics in there. To finish off this video, I'm going to show you how to turn on VoiceOver so you can get practice using it. Because in order to test your app, you're going to have to use your actual device. Because you can't really test VoiceOver on the simulator. And again, to get the real impact on how your app behaves, it's best to try to navigate your app using VoiceOver, right? Literally close your eyes, try to use VoiceOver to navigate your app. That's how you truly get the feel for it. And it'll be a shock to you, I promise, if you've never used it before. So first up, go to your phone's settings and then scroll down to accessibility. And then while you're in this accessibility tab, scroll around, look how much stuff there is. Again, it's a very deep topic, but go up to VoiceOver right at the very top, tap on that. And again, just within VoiceOver, you can see all the options. Put that toggle at the top, you can turn it on. That will now turn on VoiceOver. And again, you may get a warning that says, hey, this is going to completely change the way your phone navigates. Are you sure? And hit yes, you can turn it off. Oh, by the way, the lifesaver, I don't know if I'm going to activate my phone or not, but the lifesaver for this, so you don't have to do all that, is just say, hey Siri, turn on VoiceOver, or hey Siri, turn off VoiceOver. Sorry if I activated your phones. None of my devices went off. Nope. My iPad did go off. Great. And now that you have VoiceOver on and you don't know how to use your phone, because that's where I was, don't panic. Here's a YouTube video. It's an introduction from Apple. It's 4 minutes showing you how to navigate the basics. Definitely watch that. And then here's a resource. I'll link to that in the description as well, which is basically a gesture cheat sheet on how to use it with VoiceOver. So again, it's going to be a shock to you if you've never done this, but I highly recommend practicing just to get a respect for how people that use VoiceOver use the phone. All right, in the next video, we're going to start navigating our app with VoiceOver screen by screen and start talking about how we can improve the experience.